The war had left many scars on the galaxy. One of them was on the small border planet of Tyros. It used to be peaceful, with wide green plains and quiet cities. Now it was filled with broken buildings, burned fields, and camps full of refugees. Human relief vessel had landed to help. It carried doctors, engineers, food, and water. One of the volunteers was a human man named Ethan. He was not a soldier. He was a mechanic. He liked to fix things. He liked quiet work where he could use his hands and help people without needing to talk too much. Ethan was checking broken machines in the refugee camp when he first saw her. The alien woman stood tall and still, with pale violet skin and silver hair tied behind her head. Her name was Lyra. She was from a race called the Vellery. She stood next to a small girl holding her hand. The girl had big golden eyes and looked around with curiosity and fear. Her name was Salai. Lyra did not speak much. She only asked if someone could fix the water filter in their shelter. Her voice was soft but tired. Ethan offered to look at it. Their shelter was small and made of metal sheets. The air inside was dry and warm. Ethan crouched by the filter and began his work. Lyra stood nearby, watching him in silence. Salai sat cross-legged and drew shapes in the dust on the floor. After a few minutes, Salai looked up and walked over to Ethan. She touched his arm. "You fix it?" she asked in broken English. Ethan smiled a little. "Trying to. Almost there." Lyra stepped forward quickly. "Salai, do not bother him." "She's fine," Ethan said. "She's just curious." He went back to work, and after a short while, the filter started to hum softly. Clean water began to drip into the container below. Salai clapped her hands and laughed. Lyra looked surprised. "Thank you," she said. "No one else came. We asked before." "Happy to help," Ethan replied, wiping his hands. "You've got power here." Just needed a reset. Salai ran to the corner and brought back a small piece of fruit. She held it out to Ethan. "For you," she said. He hesitated, then took it. "Thanks." Lyra watched them. Her eyes looked both sad and thoughtful. Over the next few days, Ethan found reasons to check back in on the shelter. He said he was just making sure everything still worked, but he also liked talking to Salai. She followed him around when he came by, asking questions and showing him her drawings. Lyra stayed quiet most of the time, but she began to offer him tea or food when he visited. She seemed more relaxed. She told him that Salai had not smiled like that in months. One afternoon, Salai called Ethan something in her language. Lyra's eyes widened. "What does that mean?" He asked. "It means second protector," Lyra said. "It is from old stories. A child has one protector by birth. If that one is lost, another may come." Ethan didn't know what to say. He looked at Salai, who was smiling up at him. "I'm just a mechanic," he said quietly. Lyra looked at him with calm eyes. "You are more than that to her now." As the sun set that evening, Ethan sat outside their shelter, looking at the sky. The stars were bright. Tyros had no big cities anymore, no lights to block the view. He felt something shift inside him. He had come to fix machines, not to make connections. But now there was a little girl who laughed when he walked in, and a quiet woman who trusted him enough to let him into their broken life. He wasn't sure what it meant yet, but he knew he would come back again tomorrow. Ethan returned to the shelter early the next morning. The camp was waking up, and the sky over Tyros was still pale blue. Some people were cooking over small fires, others were cleaning or carrying supplies. He carried a small box with a few tools and a couple of spare parts, just in case anything needed fixing. Salai saw him first. She ran out of the shelter, her feet kicking up dust. "Ethan, you come back." He crouched to greet her. "I said I would." Lyra followed slowly behind her. "Daughter." She gave a small nod. "Good morning." "Good morning," Ethan said. "Everything working okay?" "Yes," Lyra said. "But the light in the corner goes off sometimes." Ethan walked into the shelter with them. He checked the light. It flickered a little, then stayed on. He tightened the wire and pressed the panel back into place. "Should be fine now," he said. Lyra handed him a cup of warm drink. It had a light, sweet smell. "You worked too hard. Sit." Ethan sat on a small crate, sipping the drink. Sci sat next to him, showing him a cloth she had colored with dyes. She pointed to the shapes. "This is you. This is Mama." "This is me," she said. Ethan looked at it. He smiled. "You made this for me?" She nodded. Lara looked away, but there was a faint smile on her lips, too. "Thank you." "It's beautiful," Ethan said. They sat quietly for a while. Outside, the camp was busy, but inside the shelter, it was calm. After some time, Lyra spoke again. Her voice was low. "She misses her father every day." Ethan nodded. "I can't imagine how hard that is." "He was a good man," Lyra said. "Brave. Kind. We were together since we were young. He wanted a big family, but then the war came." She paused. Sci had fallen asleep beside Ethan, her head resting against his arm. He died protecting others. He never saw this place, never saw her grow. Ethan didn't speak. He just listened. Lyra looked at him. "In our culture, we do not speak much of death. We honor the memory. We do not replace the one we lost." "But you're alone," Ethan said softly. "You have to raise her alone." "Yes," she said. "That is our way, but our way is hard. And sometimes I think maybe there's another way." Ethan looked at her. Her eyes held pain, but also strength. "I'm not asking for much," she said. "Just someone who cares, who will not leave." Ethan placed his hand gently on Sci's shoulder. "She's easy to care about. So are you." The moment passed in silence. Lyra stood and began to tidy the shelter. Ethan stayed until Sci woke. Then he said goodbye, promising to return the next day. Over the next week, Ethan visited every day. Sometimes he brought small gifts, dried fruit, a new blanket, a tool for the shelter. Sometimes he just sat and listened. Sci followed him everywhere when he was there, and Lyra began to open up more. They shared stories. Ethan told them about his life before the war, working in a garage back on Earth. He talked about his sister's children, how he had helped raise them after her accident. Lyra listened closely. She shared her own memories, her wedding, her village, her people before the fighting started. One evening, they sat outside the shelter. The stars were bright again. Sci had fallen asleep inside. Lyra spoke without looking at Ethan. Some of the others talk. "They wonder why I let you stay. They say I forget our customs." "Do you care what they say?" Ethan asked. "I care what Sci feels," she said. "She is happier now. That is what matters." Ethan nodded. "I'm not trying to take his place. I don't want her to feel alone. Or you." Lyra looked at him. "I know. That is why I let you in." He stayed with them until late that night. When he left, Lyra stood at the door, watching him go. Back in his quarters on the relief vessel, Ethan lay on his bunk, staring at the ceiling. He thought of Sci's smile, of Lyra's quiet voice. He had come to Tyros to help fix broken things. He didn't expect that his heart would be one of them. The next day, he would return again. Not just because something needed fixing, but because it felt like the right place to be. Ethan walked into the camp just after sunrise. The sky was still pink, and the air was cool. He carried a small bag with a few tools, even though nothing needed fixing. He just wanted to see them again. When he reached the shelter, Sci ran out. With a big smile, "Ethan, you came." He laughed and picked her up in his arms. "Of course I came." Lyra stepped out of the shelter, brushing her hands on her dress. She gave him a soft smile. "You are early." "I couldn't stay away," he said. She didn't answer, but her smile grew warmer. They sat outside the shelter and shared a simple breakfast. Lyra had made a kind of warm bread with roots and herbs. Ethan took a bite and nodded. "This is good. You made it?" "Yes," Lyra said. I used to make it with my husband. Sci loves it. Sci was busy playing with some sticks and stones, making a tiny house on the ground. Ethan looked at Lyra. Do you miss him every day? Lyra nodded. I do, but it is different now. The pain is not as sharp. It is still there, but smaller. Ethan didn't speak. He understood. Some wounds never fully healed. Lyra looked at him. You help with that. More than you know. Later that day, they walked through the camp together. Sci held Ethan's hand as they passed other shelters. Some people stared. Others turned away. A few nodded politely, but the air felt heavier. Lyra noticed it. Not everyone agrees with what I do. Because I'm human? Yes, she said. And? Because I let you be close to Sci. Does that bother you? Lyra stopped walking. She looked at him seriously. It only bothers me if it becomes dangerous for her. I can live with their judgment, but I will not let anyone harm her. Neither will I, Ethan said. They kept walking. Sci skipped ahead, humming a song in her language. Later, while Sci was napping, Ethan and Lyra sat under a tree just outside the camp. The shade was cool, and birds sang above them. I want to tell you something, Lyra said. Her voice was calm. Ethan looked at her. Go ahead. In Villari tradition, a widow is not expected to remarry. She must raise the child alone. It is a sign of strength. Sounds hard, Ethan said. It is, she replied. But times are changing, and sometimes tradition must change too. You waited for her to continue. Sci has grown attached to you. She calls. You second protect her because she feels safe with you. That is not something I can ignore. Ethan's heart beat faster. I know you didn't ask for this, Lyra said, but I must ask. Not as a Villari, not as a widow, but as a mother. She looked into his eyes. Would you consider being part of her life, not just as a visitor, but as someone who stays, as someone who helps raise her? Ethan was quiet. You looked down at his hands. That's a big step, he said. Softly. It is, I know, and I will not be angry if you say no. He thought about the life he had left behind, about Earth, about the ship he worked on. He thought about the lonely nights and the feeling of not truly belonging anywhere. Then he thought about Sci's smile, her laughter, the way she held his hand. He thought about Lyra's calm voice and quiet strength. I'm not sure what kind. A father I be, he said. You already are one to her, Lyra said. She just doesn't know the word for it yet. He looked up. Their eyes met. I need time to think, he said. Of course, Lyra replied. Take all the time you need. They sat together in silence. A breeze passed through the leaves above. It felt like the world was holding its breath. When Ethan returned to his bunk that night, he couldn't sleep. He stared at the cloth Sci had given him, the one with the drawing of the three of them. He traced the lines with his fingers. He didn't know what would happen next. But he knew one thing clearly. He cared. Deeply. And that was already more than he ever expected. The next morning, he would return. Not just to visit, but to start deciding what his place in their lives might truly be. Ethan woke up early and sat on the edge of his bunk. The camp outside was quiet, but his mind was busy. He kept thinking about what Lyra had asked him. He wondered if he was ready to become part of someone's family. He wondered if he even deserved. 2. He got dressed and made his way to the shelter. When he arrived, Sci was sitting on the ground, drawing again. She looked up and waved at him with a big smile. Ethan, you came back. He smiled. I always come back. Lyra was inside, folding blankets. She gave him a gentle look. She didn't ask about his answer. She just poured him a cup of tea and offered him some bread. They sat quietly together while Sci played nearby. After a while, Lyra spoke. There is a meeting today. The council will gather. Ethan nodded. Is it about us? She looked away. Maybe. They have seen you with us. They have heard Sci call you second protector. They are worried about what that means. Do you want me to stay? Away? Ethan asked. Lyra shook her head. No. If there is trouble, we face it together. Later that day, a group of Valari elders and some humans from the relief crew gathered in the center of the camp. The elders spoke quietly among themselves. Some looked at Ethan with doubt in their eyes. Others just looked tired from too many. Hard days. The oldest elder, a woman with silver hair and deep lines on her face, spoke first. We honor our lost. We respect our ways, but now there are changes. Some are afraid. Some are angry. Another elder looked at Lyra. You have let a human become close to your child. Do you think that is wise? Lyra stood tall. Her voice was calm. He has been kind to us. He has helped us. My daughter is happy when he is near. An elder frowned. But our ways say you must raise Salai alone. Lyra's eyes were sad, but she did not look away. Our ways also say to protect the young. I will do anything to keep her safe and happy, even if it means changing what we have always done. Ethan. Listen, his heart pounding. He wanted to speak, but he was not sure if his words would matter. Then a human leader from the relief crew spoke up. Ethan has worked hard for everyone here. He cares about Lyra and Salai. Maybe that is what matters most. The meeting lasted a long time. Some people argued. Some people just listened. Salai watched from behind Lyra, her small hand holding her mother's dress. She did not understand all the words, but she could feel the tension. After the meeting, Lyra and Ethan walked back to the shelter. Lyra looked tired. Some will not accept you. Not now. Maybe never, Ethan nodded. I understand. But I want to. Be here, for you and for Salai. Lyra's eyes softened. Thank you. A few days passed. Some people avoided them. Others whispered. But some women, other widows with children, came to Lyra in secret. They asked her how she found the courage to trust someone new. Lyra did not know how to answer. She only said, he was kind, and I was tired of being afraid. Ethan kept visiting the shelter every day. He fixed things that needed fixing, but he also played with Salai and helped Lyra with chores. Sometimes Salai would run to him when she felt scared or lonely, and Ethan would pick her up and hold her until she stopped crying. One evening, Salai had a bad dream. She woke up crying, calling for her father. Ethan came quickly and sat beside her, holding her hand. Lyra sat on her other side. Together they stayed with her until she calmed down and fell asleep again. When Lyra saw how gently Ethan cared for Salai, she felt hope. Maybe the old ways did not have to be the only ways. Maybe there was room for something new. That night, after Salai was asleep, Lyra sat beside Ethan outside the shelter. The stars above were bright and close. Lyra looked at Ethan and whispered, You are not from here, but you make this place feel like home. Ethan smiled. You and Salai make me feel like I belong. They sat together in the quiet night. Around them, the camp was still and peaceful, but both of them knew things would never be simple. They would have to keep fighting for their small piece of happiness. But they also knew they would not have to fight alone anymore. Ethan woke up early again. The sun was just rising over the hills of Tyros. He felt a little tired, but knew he had to go to the camp. He had promised to help Lyra and Salai, and he wanted to keep that promise. When he arrived, Salai was waiting. Outside the shelter, she smiled and ran to him. Ethan, she said happily, come with me. Ethan followed Salai through the camp. She was carrying a small basket filled with herbs and plants. My mother says these are important, Salai sighed. But they are far from here, in the wild forest. It is dangerous. Lyra came out and nodded. Salai has a fever, she said. We need a special herb to help her. It only grows near the old river. The path is not safe, but it is the only cure. Ethan looked at Lyra. I will go get it. Don't worry. Lyra looked worried. It is far and hard to reach. I will be careful, Ethan said firmly. That afternoon, Ethan prepared for the journey. He packed food, water, and his tools. He also took a small first aid kit, just in case. Sci watched him with big eyes. "Be safe," she said softly. Ethan smiled. "I will come back soon, with the herb." The path to the old river was rough. Ethan walked through thick trees and over rocks. The sun was hot, and the air smelled fresh but wild. Birds sang, and small animals moved in the bush. After a few hours, Ethan reached the river. The water was clear and cold. Near the bank, he saw the plants he needed, small green leaves with purple flowers. He carefully picked the herbs and put them in his bag. Suddenly, he heard a noise behind him. He turned quickly and saw a group of wild creatures. They looked dangerous, big, fast, and hungry. Ethan's heart raced. He took a deep breath and slowly backed away, looking for a safe place. The creatures moved closer. Ethan held his tools ready, but knew fighting was risky. Then he heard a shout. Lyra's voice. "Ethan, watch out!" Lyra appeared from the trees, holding a strange device. She pressed a button, and a bright light flashed. The creatures stopped and ran away. Ethan was relieved. "Thank you," he said. Lyra smiled. "I could not let you face danger alone." Together, they returned to the camp with the herbs. Sci was weak but happy to see them. Lyra made a medicine from the herbs and gave it to her daughter. Slowly, Sci's fever went down. That night, Ethan and Lyra sat by the fire. "You risked a lot," Lyra said. "I would do anything for Sci," Ethan replied. "And for you." Lyra looked at him, her eyes soft and kind. "I want to ask you something," she said. "Would you become Sci's new father?" Ethan was quiet. The question was big and serious. "I don't know if I'm ready," he said. "It means leaving my old life behind. It means joining your world." "I understand," Lyra said. "But Sci needs someone to protect her, someone to love her." Ethan looked at Sci sleeping peacefully. He felt a warmth in his heart. "I want to try," he said softly. Lyra smiled. "That is all I ask." They held hands, looking at the stars above Dot. The future was unknown, but for the first time, Ethan felt hope. Ethan woke up feeling different. He thought about the night before and the promise he made. He wanted to be part of Lyra and Sci's life, but he also felt afraid. The next morning, he went to the camp early. Lyra and Sci were waiting outside their shelter. Sci ran to him and hugged his leg. Ethan smiled and lifted her up. "Good morning, Sci." Lyra watched him with a soft smile. "You're ready to stay?" she asked quietly. Ethan nodded. "Yes, I want to be there for both of you." Lyra's eyes filled with tears of happiness. "Thank you, Ethan," but their life together was not easy. The Valari community was still watching. Some people whispered behind their backs. Some did not want to accept a human as part of their family. One day, Kalen, the council elder, came to speak with them again. "Ethan," Kalen said, "do you understand what it means to live among the Valari? You must learn our ways and respect our customs." Ethan bowed his head. "I understand." Kalen continued, "You will need to take part in the joining ceremony. It is how we accept a new father." Lyra looked surprised but hopeful about the joining. Ceremony was simple but important. It was held under the great tree in the center of the camp. The community gathered to watch. Ethan stood next to Lyra and Sci. The elder spoke words in the Valari language. He placed a small silver ring on Ethan's finger. "You are now part of this family," the elder said. Sci smiled and took Ethan's hand. After the ceremony, some people came to congratulate them. Others stayed quiet. Ethan knew it would take time for everyone to accept him. He worked hard to learn the Valari ways. Lyra taught him their language and customs. He helped in the shelter and took care of Sci. Days turned to weeks, and Ethan felt more at home. One afternoon, while Ethan was fixing a broken water pipe, Sci ran up to him. "Ethan, look," she said, holding a small flower. "It's beautiful," Ethan said, smiling. Lyra came outside and watched him. She felt grateful. They were becoming a family. One night, after Sci was asleep, Ethan and Lyra sat together outside. Ethan took her hand. "Thank you for trusting me." Lyra looked at him. "You have given us hope, more than I can say." Ethan smiled. "I never thought I would find a family like this." Lyra leaned her head on his shoulder. They looked at the stars and dreamed of the future. No matter the challenges, they would face them together. The days grew warmer, and life in the camp slowly returned to a calm rhythm. Ethan, Lyra, and Sci were together, building their new life step by step. Each day, Ethan learned more about the Velari ways and found comfort in his new family. Not all was easy. Some in the Velari community still doubted Ethan. They whispered that a human could never fully belong. One afternoon, the council called a meeting. Lyra and Ethan were asked to come and speak. They stood before the council and many villagers. Kalen, the elder, spoke first. "Lyra has broken tradition," he said. "She has accepted a human as part of her family. Many here do not agree." Lyra stepped forward, her voice steady. "I am a widow," she said. "I was told to raise my child alone, but no Velari man offered help. Ethan came. He did not just fix broken things. He fixed our lives." The crowd was silent. Ethan looked at the faces before him. He felt nervous but spoke clearly. "I did not come to replace anyone," he said. "I came to help, to love Sci and to be part of this family." One woman spoke up, her voice soft. "Will you stay? Will you live as one of us?" Ethan nodded. "I will learn and live as one of you." Kalen looked at Ethan and then at Lyra. "Very well," he said. "We will watch and see if this choice is right." That night, Ethan, Lyra, and Sci sat together under the stars. Sci smiled and hugged Ethan. "You are my father now," she said. Ethan felt a joy he had never known. Months passed, and the village began to accept their new family. Children played with Sci, and neighbors greeted Ethan with kindness. Ethan helped repair homes and shared stories of Earth. Lyra taught him songs and dances of the Velari. One day, Ethan and Lyra walked through the fields. The sun was warm and the sky was clear. Lyra stopped and looked at Ethan. "You have given me more than help," she said. "You have given me hope." Ethan took her hand. "And you have given me a family," he said. They smiled, knowing the road had been hard but worth every step. Together they faced the future, a family not made by blood alone, but by choice, love, and trust.